Michael Young joins us now, of course, a member of Phi Slamma Jamma. Well, what do you think? These Cougs are headed back to the Final Four.
I think it's great, Matt. I was really happy to see that when the buzzer went off. I think I was more excited than Kevin in his game. Yes.
Tell me about the emotions that you were going through, thinking back to the 3 times that you made the Final Four.
Well, I knew what those kids were feeling to make it to the Final Four. I can remember back my first time, and it's like it like happens. You go to the hotel, you eat, you go to sleep, you wake up like, am I dreaming? I mean, is this serious? So I know what they felt.
It's got to be the best, the accomplishment. The first time you went to the Final Four was so special. Reed made all those free throws at the end of that game. No one was expecting you guys to make it that year. It's similar to the way the Cougs are this year.
Yes, I can remember people saying, Houston Cougars, who are those guys? And nobody knew who we were, but we just went out and played basketball. We were an underdog, but we knew we could play. We knew we had a good team.
Oh, you had a great team. It's what you had. I remember in the locker room. Well, you beat Boston College. And of course, the East Coast media didn't think you had a chance. And in the locker room after it's not as if there's champagne or anything. It was all impromptu. So Clyde, I don't know who else, one of you guys started squirting Coke on each other. You were shaking up Coca-Cola cans.
Right. I know it was soda everywhere, but we were very excited. It was something new. It's nothing like accomplishing something, and especially like the Final Four, and you did it as an overall group, something that you work hard, you prepared for it. Nobody thought you could actually do it, and it happened. That's one of the greatest feelings ever. Those kids will never forget that moment. I haven't.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you this. Let's go back 37 years to your last Final Four, and let's talk about that a little bit. You had Virginia in the first game, then you wound up at Georgetown in the championship game. But what were your thoughts going to that Final Four? And at that point, U of H was rolling. Akeem mentioned to me the other night, I didn't think it would take 37 more years for another U of H team to get back. What were your thoughts about the U of H program where it was 37 years ago?
Well, I know 37 years ago, I would say we were the best college basketball team out there. I felt like all the kids in America wanted to come play for University of Houston. And that's what I seen 37 years ago. Now, whenever Coach Lewis retired and the other coaches came in, I don't really know if they used it, the Phi Slamma Jamma, for recruiting, or maybe they just wanted to start their own era. But it took an awful long time to get back 37 years. No one could have told me that it would take 37 years to get back to the Final Four. I think if everybody would have followed Coach Lewis's recipe, and I'm sure he had it in Hofheinz on the shelf somewhere, if you followed that recipe, you should have been able to get back.
Yeah, of course, a large part of that recipe was get young talent from the local area. Get
That's
talent
it.
From the Houston area.
Coach Lewis didn't go any further than Houston or Texas, Louisiana, and of course, Akeem showed up from Nigeria. We had Brian Williams from California, one guy, Derek Giles. played JUCO, recruited him in. He was from New York, but other than that, everybody was pretty much homegrown. And there's a lot of talent right in the Houston area. Whenever you can get the Houston area best talent and mix that in with some of the Louisiana best talent and go get one or two guys from somewhere else, you have a team.
Yeah.
And I think Kevin Sampson did that.
Yeah. What's the big thing that you admire about this team? You have told me before how much you respect this team, what it does, how it's coached, how it plays. What's the biggest thing that you take away from when you watch this current U of H basketball team?
Well, I just watched their toughness, the way they go out and beat the glass up and get those offensive rebounds. I mean, it's incredible sitting there watching them. Whenever they shoot the ball come out, they have a big chance to get the offensive rebound. They really hit the glass. And the most important thing, everybody understands their role. Nobody is trying to do something that they know they shouldn't be doing. And that's a big key to trying to win something. Stay together as a team, play hard, know who you are, and give 100% effort.
I love the grit that they show, Michael, like those old teams of the past, the Phi Slamma Jamma. That's what you guys would do. Dive after loose balls. You were you were always up in someone's grill. Defense was a big part of those teams.
Yes, I mean, that's what they showed. And I'll say this, Matt, I watched them whenever they played. It was Cleveland State and the double-digit number teams, and it's tough playing against those teams. Hey, they played against Rutgers, double-digit teams, double-digit. All those teams have nothing to lose, so they play so loose, and they'll come out and beat you. So I think they got the hardest part behind them. Now they playing against a team that's just like they are.
Well, let's talk about Baylor. What's the recipe to beat the Baylor? Let me do this again. Let's talk about Baylor then, Michael. What's the recipe to beat the Baylor Bears?
It doesn't change from what they already been doing. You don't have to do anything different. I know they're gonna be fired up and they're gonna be ready to go out and play. Just continue to do what you've been doing. Just try to do it at a little bit more higher level, because the closer you get to the prize, the tougher the teams. And U of H and Baylor are similar teams. So instead of putting basketball shoes on, they need to put some track spikes on. That's going to be a track meet, man. And I think the team that make the least amount of turnovers and can dictate how to play the longest and be good. Of course, that's the team that's going to win. So I think U of H can match Baylor guards. I think U of H bigs are just as tough as Baylor bigs, So I think it's even across the line. I mean, you go out and play. And as the game go on, they'll get more comfortable, to even say Baylor would be saying, oh, we could play these guys, and U of H would be saying the same thing, So I'm looking for a great match.
Michael, if you were able to address the team before they begin their game here in the Final Four, you appeared in 3 of them. What kind of advice would you give to this current team? Advice that you have, an experience that you went through 3 different Final Fours.
Well, first of all, I would tell them, like I just said a minute ago, nothing has changed. Continue to be who you are and take your game up to another level and compete and go out and play off each other, for each other. And that's pretty much it, Matt, because they've been playing together all year. Okay, once the tournament start, it's a new season. So everybody's familiar with everybody. Everybody, I would tell them, you guys know your role. Go out and do what you've been doing for the team from day one. And if they do that, they'll be okay. I think Coach Sampson can guide them through all the rest of the stuff. If they need a bucket, he can draw that up. If they need to change some type of defense, I've seen him. He figured that out for them. If they need to get a bucket, hey, take the guy off the top, put him in the corner. Defense not there. He's a good coach. His team is coached up, and if they listen to him and if they go out and do what they've been doing all year, hey, I'm looking forward to the championship game.
Michael, I've got to ask you this because I was talking to Ricky Winslow about this. We were talking about the different rules.
Mm-hmm.
How would it have been? It's a different game now. You guys didn't have the 3-point line. And so we were kind of going down the roster. Of course, it's awesome to have a great center, even if you had an Akeem Olajuwon today. Oh yeah, you'd still be a pretty good basketball team. He said, well, we had Michael Young. That's all he did was shoot 3-pointers. How many points you averaged the game? That corner three, you were automatic, and it was a 2-point shot. But Coach Lewis was like, "Hey, he can make that shot. You just go. Now you other guys don't be shooting that." But can you imagine how many points a game you would have averaged?
Well, I tell you, Matt, I averaged 17. I think that probably would have averaged about 5 more points on. I mean, the 3-ball is a game changer now. I mean, the amount of points that we were beating teams by, it would have been just that much higher. That's what the 3-point line was, but that's just where I shot from. And it really balanced us out as a team. It helped us with the inside-outside play, But the rules have changed, and I think they are a lot better.
All right, final words before we go into this Final Four game with Baylor, Michael?
Well, bring it to the championship game, and I'm going to be pulling for us. Everything I said is part of the recipe. That's the game plan. I know they've been prepared for the actual game. So just go out and do what you do, and let's go to the championship game.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Hopefully we'll talk before that championship game.
All right, Matt. Anytime.